Hey, what's up guys? Syed here. Today I am in the BMW 420i GC or Gran Coupe or Gran Coupe, however you wanna pronounce it. Owner is beside me, Captain Marshall.
Hello.
Why Captain? You wanna
Good
explain?
afternoon, Syed. Thanks for welcoming me here.
You wanna explain why everyone calls you Captain?
Yeah, because I was a captain in the Navy during NS reservists back in the 70s. So I'm actually a retired NS captain.
Retired. Okay, and you guys remember Zarin from?
How's it going, guys?
You know, you saw him probably in like a few reviews already. So yeah. Anyway, back to this car. This is the 420i or the F36 BMW 4 Series. This is a 2014 model, so this can be considered like the first gen of the 4 Series. So between this car and the 3 Series, the wheelbase is the same, but this car actually is wider, it's lower, and it's slightly longer overall in length as compared to the 3 Series. So essentially what this car is 4-door variant of a 2-door variant of a 4-door car, which is the 3 Series. And because this is the 2014 model, this has the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo engine or the N20 BMW engine. This N20 can be found in a few BMW models that end with the 20, like your 220, 320, your 520. Some specs for the engine, this comes with 181 or 184 horsepower depending on where you are looking at. It's about there, 181 to 184 horsepower, 270 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 about 7.6 seconds. 8-speed automatic. I believe this comes with the ZF transmission, rear wheel drive of course. Yeah, that's about it for the specs of the car. Okay, so before we begin, just to preempt you guys, because this car is based on the 3 Series, which is already a very good sport sedan, and this car is really like what, lower and wider and a sportier version of that car. You know, we expect the 4 Series to handle much better than the 3 Series. So let's go for a drive and then we can see how much better than the 3 Series this car handles while we ask the owner questions about his car. Alright, so Captain Marshall, first question. Why did you buy the 420i GC?
It's a very good question, Syed. I have been a BMW owner for quite some time over the last 10 years.
Okay.
Starting with 5 Series, 523i. Got it for about 3.5 years. And I went on to drive, and then I decided that basically I need something more sporty.
Okay.
And I think the 420i basically meets my need from all aspects. You're talking from inside out.
Okay.
Wasn't that particular about that horsepower, but I think in my best opinion, because I'm a passionate photographer.
Okay. It looks
so good. This car definitely fits very well in terms when it comes to synergize with the photography. I have taken thousands of pictures of this car with models, Mr. Singapore, Miss World, and I think these pictures with this 420i
looks very
is
good.
actually excellent.
Okay.
I can only describe a few words: incredible, extraordinary, out of the norm, majestic, whatever you name it. It is just one of my best cars for the last 40 years.
BMWs like general.
Yep, that's right.
So next question, how long have you owned this car and how has your ownership experience been?
Okay, I actually got this car 1.5 years to be exact from today. There was
end 2019?
Yeah, that's right. And September 2019.
Okay.
And ever since then, it's at about I would say 1.5 years.
How's your ownership experience for the past?
I basically like the way it's been designed. So when I drive, I feel very comfortable because the turning radius is very good. The only exceptional was that if I have tall people coming in from the back, because of the roof that's actually slanted backward, you find that these people will hit the ceiling from the head level.
So it happened a few times already?
Yep, especially those more than 1.8 meter. So usually I ask them to sit in the front.
Okay.
Other than that, I think the driving mode, because I don't use sports mode, I use leisure. And I think the petrol consumption is quite economical. You're looking at something like a full tank will get me about 550 of kilometers. That's pretty work about 9 point something per liter.
9 to 10 kilometers.
Yeah, that's right.
Liter.
Yep.
This car is a 60-litre tank, right?
That's right.
Okay. So, what do you like about your 4 Series other than the looks and whatever you mentioned just
Yeah,
now?
I think that's a good question, sir, because when I was considering, there was actually another coupe that's 2-door. But because I'm a family man, we have grandchildren, 4 of them to be exact.
Oh.
So sometimes we need to have a 4 doors. So I get a Gran Coupe instead of coupe.
Okay. Sorry, just one question. When you were considering this car, did you consider any other car?
Okay, that's another good question, sir, because A5 was my contender.
Your A5, the A5?
Yeah, the Audi A5 was my contender.
But because you really like BMW, you went for BMW instead.
Actually, there's behind the story of that is quite long. To keep it simple, because all my whatever I own has got a related to BMW because of accessory, shirts, shoes, you name it, I had it all. So it becomes a very loyalty to BMW.
Brand loyalty.
Yeah, that's right. Brand loyalty.
Okay. Would you ever consider another brand after this?
Not for now, but if I do, probably, like I say, may go for the 420i, the newer version for the Gran Coupe. But I think that will only be released sometime end of the year.
Yeah. Okay, what do you dislike about your 4 Series?
Well, that's another good question. As I've said just now, I think it's basically the slanted roof.
Yeah, the
backward.
turning radius is actually very good.
Yeah, and other than that, I think, like I say, that's the only drawbacks that I have. But probably the goods outweighs the bad. As I mentioned, most of my car, I did not mention, actually has got a sunroof.
Okay.
So this is one of the key aspects because I drive without aircon. Most of the time.
Is it?
Yep,
How
that's
do
right.
you? Oh,
And I prefer fresh air.
unheard of. No wonder just now when I met you, your door, the windows were down, the sunroof was open.
So, Sai, when you look at it, I forgot to mention that I was actually looking at the 420i, so-called convertible.
Okay.
And that was another option, but at that time,
F33. I think.
yeah, I have to change my mind because the moment the mechanism retract backward, you find that you've taken out all your back boot.
Yes.
Yeah, so I decided not to buy that 420i, basically based on the convertible.
Audi S8, out and about.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Captain Marshall. There are a few mods I noticed in this car. Do you mind sharing with us what kind of modifications?
That's interesting because what I will do here, probably some people may have done that, but the things that are actually interesting here about the modifications that what I have asked is basically my LCD screen. The original screen has been transformed to a bigger screen, which I think is 10.4 inches now. And this is called the Android, so-called Apple Play. So it gave me a better perspective of how I see the screen in high resolution compared to the old traditional screen. And I can actually use my Apple, which I'm using right now, to basically sync with it. Unlike the old conventional, I can't do that.
Okay.
So I think that's one of the major changes of that. And because I also can use the WhatsApp, I can also use the Google Map, Spotify, which are clearer screen, bigger screen.
Okay.
And on top of that, above all, I think the biggest thing I can see YouTube.
Okay.
Sounds
But
good,
not
right?
while driving lah.
No, right, yeah, that's right.
Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, it's an upgraded infotainment system which
Exactly.
retains the functionality of your BMW iDrive
Exactly.
and adds on the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay functionality.
Precisely.
Yeah, so
you're right. So it's switchable.
yeah, switchable. And you mentioned that you paid about 1,200 for this, right?
That's
Including
right.
installation.
That's right.
Which I think is a very good price to get all this
Precisely.
functionality lah.
Precisely.
Yeah, because I think if you were to like what you call it, if let's say BMW were to offer something like this, it will cost way more than that.
Yes, the original will cost about 4,000.
4,000. Yeah, so I think it's worth it lah.
Exactly.
Other than this infotainment, upgraded infotainment, do you have any other mods? For this car?
The rest I basically don't change anything.
Just stock.
What you see is what you get from original, which I think we are quite satisfied. Of course, we had intention to change to a maroon seat, but I think that's caused a lot, so we decided not to do that. So we stick to the red line. I think that's good enough.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say somebody is looking to get a since you're a BMW fan, right? Let's say somebody is looking to get a BMW.
Right.
This is a very this is a question that actually a lot of people ask. Like Continental cars, not as reliable as Japanese cars and all
Right.
that stuff. So do you have any advice or anything you want to say to people who are considering a Conti or a BMW but they are unsure?
So all the questions you have, I have all the answers behind my back.
Okay, great.
You can say I'm actually a walking database. Like I say, whatever I say, to each his own. Everybody
yep.
has own answer
Yep.
and preference.
Definitely.
To answer the question precisely, I have been a Continental car for probably the last 30 years,
Okay.
most of my time. The reason is because of safety
Yep.
and also the way it's being built compared to Japanese car, which are lightweight. And other than that, I always prefer the part on the switching of the so-called the gear, the screen is always opposite side. I prefer on the other side.
Okay.
And having said that, this what they call it, Japanese car to me, although they are cheaper some time ago, but today by today's standard, I mean the gap is catching up. So I think it's quite appropriate for people who really appreciate German technology. In terms of the safety, I think they will prefer European car Continental rather than Japanese.
Okay. So just another question, in your like 30 years of owning Continental cars,
Yep.
do you have any like horror stories or anything gone horribly wrong with any of the cars?
That's a very good question. In fact, if I can just trace it backward from where I am right now, the 420i I have not even a single problem.
Not a single problem.
Not a single problem.
Okay.
Except for wear and tear.
Wear and tear normal.
Normal engine is all fine. No issue. Regularly maintain and release mileage.
Okay.
But if I look backward on the 523i,
This was the car you owned just before this, right?
yes, that's
Okay,
right.
the F10 lah.
F10.
F10. Okay.
F10 itself has got some problem because that's a 2010 model.
Yep.
And usually it's a gasket problem.
Oh, gasket leaking. Head gasket.
That's right. So
Okay.
although it's a minor problem, but
I think that's considered wear and tear.
Wear and
also
tear,
lah.
yeah.
But
So-
apart from like,
apart from that, I
your
have
523 was
I have to give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh.
10 being the best. Is the 420i has really got what do you call it? I mean, it's speechless because there's just nothing to repair.
yeah.
Unless otherwise, you have to be one of those unlucky that's a QC problem for 1 out of 1,000
Yep,
units,
me.
right?
That's me.
Yeah.
I was one of those unlucky.
Your 5 Series last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, so I have just to add on to this, and this car actually is one thing I like is this car is actually dark grey, but I've actually wrapped it in white,
Oh.
and it makes this car look sporty.
It looks
Yeah.
like paint,
Yeah,
It's
it's
very shiny.
paint. I
Yeah.
thought it was
Very
original.
shiny.
But it's a very well. How do I call it? I maximize it a lot in terms of not just as a driver, but to create pictures, videos out of it to make it as a prop for most of my so-called photography. Yeah.
And I can see you max out the mileage also because it's
Yep, that's
climbing
right.
very quickly.
That's right.
Yeah, for 2014, about 6-7 years old.
7 years.
7 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, do you have anything else to add on?
Yeah, consider it's about 100,000 now, but I think it serves its purpose well.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that you mentioned you didn't have any issues up till this point,
No.
I think is very good.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommended. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's the thing. Like the N20 engine that you find in like usually the base 3 series, 4 series, 5 series. I don't really hear too much issues with that.
Yep.
But then again, this is just me researching and stuff. I've never owned a car with an N20 engine before.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't really say. But you can look at Captain Marshall, who 420i, no issues whatsoever
Yep.
for the past 1.5 years.
Yep.
And okay, my thoughts on driving this car, right? So first of all, the number one thing I noticed was how comfortable this car is, how compliant it is, considering that this is a like sportier version of the 3 series. It's just very, very compliant. I think it's about as compliant as the A5, but this has a bit more of a bouncy, floaty feeling to it as compared to the A5.
Right.
Yeah, so it's very comfortable. Sarin in the back, are you comfortable?
Yeah,
You look damn comfortable.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, so relaxed.
I'm basically really enjoying my time here. It's really like what you said. You got that floaty and slightly bouncy feeling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, it's a really.
So when Zarif sit behind, especially I like about this car is when it's at night.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't have the kind of A5 kind of cockpit kind of thing, but when you sit behind and open up the sunroof, and you can see that they give you a perspective like you're in a plane. It's really very nice. Really,
I see.
That's something I like about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've actually always loved cars with sunroofs. I don't like the convertible cars. The sunroof is a much more solid option that gives you, you know, if you want to open it up and let more air inside the car or more light into the car, you know, but you still have that security of having the roof on top.
Exactly.
So
So
that convertible.
that's it.
Speak of the devil.
And as a matter of fact, we talk about this thing. One of the it's a very very rare coincidence. I just want to share. Back in 2014, I was actually in Munich,
Okay.
and at that time, this car was about to be launched. I was actually invited to be part of the participant to test it.
Oh.
So I kept the photo as well.
So you were one of the first few people in the world to drive the
That's
4
right.
Series.
Yeah, 4
Oh,
Series. And
nice.
it's actually a convertible, but everything is the same. And I took a few pictures on the 420i, and I look back since then. I never dreamed that I'm gonna own a 420i. So that is a very coincident story that I had.
Okay.
And I still kept the picture at BMW Munich belt. BMW belt.
Okay. That's their headquarters, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so overall thoughts on driving this car, yeah, like I mentioned, it has that very floaty kind of feeling,
Yeah.
very comfortable, very compliant. Engine is quite, there's turbo lag of course, this is an N20, so there's turbo lag, but once it pulls, it's quite gradual, it's not sudden.
Actually, it feels more like a supercharger than a turbocharger.
Is it?
Yep, you can try to put a sports mode.
Sports mode.
That will give you a better pickup. But again, that will consume a little bit of fuel, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But unless otherwise you still want a power, probably 428i would be better.
Yeah, definitely. And the 428, right, the internals are a bit stronger
Yes,
in terms
that's
of the
true.
materials. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. Driving wise, yeah, so far. Okay, the thing is, right, when I'm inside this car, the interior looks exactly like the 3 Series.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you are looking for something like not say totally different, like interior wise it's very similar.
Yep.
So that may disappoint some people depending on how you look at it.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. But in terms of the drive, actually I also feel like I'm in the 3 Series right now. I think because it's not as low as I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Maybe your seat is not in the lower setting.
Yes, it's supposed to be low, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
So like when I'm driving it, I feel like I'm in a 3 Series. But of course, this car on the outside, it looks way better than a 3 Series lah. Because it's you know,
That
lower.
aesthetics look is much
Yeah,
better.
aesthetically it looks better. Just like how the A5, in my opinion, looks much better than the A4.
Exactly.
Yeah, so these kind of like lower, wider cars tend to look better. Other than that, it's a BMW. It's smooth. It's fun to drive. Yeah, it's sensitive. It's like a 3 Series basically. It's very sensitive. I think you can, if you want to like feel the difference, probably have to go fast and you have to like attack some corners.
Exactly.
Yeah, in day-to-day situation when you're driving like point A to point B in a normal fashion.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be able to feel that much difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you are really like you have both cars at home and then you drive them back to back. Yeah, I don't think.
As a matter of fact, I think to Sai's question, I had the experience of bringing this to North South Highway to KL.
Okay.
And I tried 200, 220. It was just equally good. That means basically when you're cruising on the North South Highway at the kind of speed, I don't have problem navigating or So I think it has been tested for that kind of speed. And this is actually also part of the comparison that I was testing with the BMW group.
Okay.
We have about 100 cars of convoy going to Yongping.
Okay.
2 years ago. Sorry, 1.5 years ago, and I was part of that convoy.
Okay.
and we're all running about 200 kilometers. And some of these 5 Series, some are M4. And I think the 420i still scores well in trying to keep up with them. Yep, that's my point.
Okay. So yeah, in sports mode, it's decent lah, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah. It's I really feel like I'm at 3 Series to be very honest. Yeah. It's just that I know I'm in a 4 Series, that's why.
Yeah, Science, I can give you a last of cash and carry today. You can take it off. Feel free to take it off. Yeah, no obligation. Anyway.
No obligation. Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's a very interesting point also, because I think the 3 Series and the 4 Series, 320 and 420, the depreciation I think is quite close also.
Very close.
If I'm correct.
Yeah,
I think the 3 Series is like
15 plus.
15
yes,
plus, 14 plus to 15 plus.
15 plus.
This car is about 16.
Close to 16.
Yeah, so for about just 1k more a year, you can get a
better car.
better looking car.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, it just looks better. And not so common lah.
Yep,
Yeah,
not so common.
Yeah.
It had all spelled out correctly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. In the back then I realized the rear seats are different from the 3 Series.
Different.
The feeling.
Is it
Here is
more
lower.
Yeah.
I can feel like it's
lower, right? Yep.
Now then I feel I'm in a 4 Series.
You owned one before, right?
No, that was a 5.
Oh, okay.
3 and 5 Series. By the way, in the back, because it's quite low, so your thighs are like hanging quite a fair bit above the seats.
Exactly. Now you can feel it.
Yeah, that's why I feel like I'm in a 4 Series.
Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, but it's very comfortable in the back.
Very.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get a Grab driver to drive.
Yeah, that's why.
Looks
The
good.
acceleration is very, very
As a
smooth.
matter of fact, I forgot to mention this car was also used a few times for wedding.
Oh, is it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But I still love the design of the 4 Series. It's like when it first came out, I think it totally changed the landscape for BMW.
Exactly.
It led in terms of a newer look for BMW cars.
Yep, that's true.
That's when the BMW started changing their lights and their front grills to sort of be in tune with what the 4 Series was bringing to.
Yep.
Do you ever think of actually doing like a stage 1 or stage 2 tuning to the car?
Actually, to me, I heard a lot of that. But I'm actually a person from point A to point B. So I don't really spend a lot of money on that.
I think your stage 1 is bicycle.
I already have a BMW bicycle.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just for convenience.
I think what's more important to you is the driving feel and the comfort of being inside the car.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, only my wife, myself, so most of the time we don't really have many people behind. Only the grandchildren.
Is that why the seats are a bit harder?
It came here originally. Nothing changed.
Because when a lot of people sit in the back, right, the seats you can see like
tend to be
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
yours are a bit new.
Mainly, I don't have much people coming in the car, except for pretty ladies.
And they tend to be very light, not heavy.
No, they only put in. Oh, but much better than the acid. Anytime.